Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Sam here to break down the NASCAR Truck Series slate. Friday night NASCAR, we have the Truck Series, Kansas Motor Speedway. Got two drivers' debuts in the Truck Series, so that's always fun. Big name also, we'll get into all that. But before we do, if you're new to this channel, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, turn notification bell, all those things really help me out. Had a lot of growth throughout NFL, NASCAR, NBA season. NASCAR's kind of coming to a close, which is kind of sad, but that means just more focus on NFL. So if you like just to play DFS in general, be sure to check out my NFL content. I already have a quarterbacks and running backs video up, and I don't know, depending on when you're watching this, if you're watching this on Thursday, I will have my wide receiver video up later on in the day, but if you're watching this on Friday, I probably already got that up, and maybe the tight ends as well. So be sure to check all that stuff out as well. If you want to get more of my content, you can always subscribe to my Patreon. I'll put the link in the description below for that. But yeah, I think that's really all I got to say. Let's get into the drivers, and we're going to start with the most expensive driver, who, if you told me he was going to be the most expensive driver on the slate at the beginning of the year, I would have said you're crazy. Parker Kligerman, starts 35th, 11,100. Okay, so this is... I was really going back and forth with how interested I really am in Parker Kligerman, and I guess I'm still a little bit up in the air. I think I want to play him, but like you are gonna, if you want to play Parker Kligerman and then like a dominator or two, you're gonna have to punt like bad, punt deep. And I mean, there's some punts I think that are viable, which we'll get into, but Parker Kligerman, to really pay off his salary at 11,100, has to get a top 10, and that really just barely pays off the salary. And in the two intermediate tracks he's ran at this year, he finished 18th at Kentucky and 9th at Michigan. So, like, he hasn't necessarily ran that well. Like, yeah, his last race we saw him run, he finished 4th place at Bristol. And I remember I completely missed on him that night because I really didn't think he had the upside to finish that high. And he did. But that was Bristol. This track's nothing like Bristol. Kansas is a 1.5 mile track, intermediate, large oval track. We haven't seen him race at Kansas in the last 2 years. At intermediate tracks, he has the 16th best average finish, and he has 15th best at large ovals. So, like, again, if you want to get that top 10, it feels like you're kind of pushing for it, pushing it a little bit. He has led 30 laps at intermediate tracks and 19 at large ovals. I believe that came at Michigan. I remember that race. It was either Michigan or Kentucky. I was watching. I was like, wow, Parker Kligerman's out front leading laps. That's pretty cool. Yeah, we know he has the upside, but like I don't feel like he's like that likely to hit it. It can happen. I'm gonna max out tournament, so I'm probably gonna get some Parker Kligerman, but like I don't think he's gonna be someone I have a ton of ownership to. There is some definitely other viable options that we can get place differential from on the slate. Some of them are a little bit interesting and risky that we're gonna have to really consider here, but there is other place differential spots to get to that are like, $4,000, $5,000 cheaper. So I think Parker Kligerman's fine, but you are going to have to make some punts. I would rather obviously I'm rather paying for the dominator upside. I don't think Parker Kligerman really is going to be a dominator in this race. Austin Hill starts 8th, and he's the first guy I'm interested in as a dominator. $10,700. He has the 3rd best average finish at Kansas, the 7th best at intermediates, and the 8th best at large ovals. When we go look at laps led, he has the most laps led in the field at Kansas at 85. He has 383 laps led at intermediates and 230 at large ovals. When we go look at the last 5 races, he has an average finish of 8 and 104 laps led. Don't pay attention to this. This was me doing stuff earlier on the spreadsheet. I'll delete that before I post it later, but it's completely irrelevant right now. But anyway, Austin Hill has definitely dominator upside. He's had it all year long. We know he does well at the 1.5 mile tracks. He won a race the last round at Vegas, so we know he can definitely win a race in the series at the intermediate tracks, dominate. He's definitely a guy that I always pretty much have interest in. Austin Hill as a dominator every single race because he has that upside pretty much every single race. So definitely someone to get some interest in. 8th place, has a little bit of place differential as well. Christian Eckes is up next at $10,400, starting 14th. I don't really know how interested I am because he's a little bit expensive for the way he's been running recently, but he does have the 5th average finish at Kansas, the 4th at intermediates, and the 3rd at large ovals. He does know how to finish well with these types of tracks, but when we come to laps led, only 16 at Kansas, only 149 at intermediates, and 87 at large ovals. Now, I know this is Christian Eckes' first year in the series, and a lot of these other guys around him, like Austin Hill, Brett Moffitt, Sheldon Creed, Sauter, Enfinger, they've all been, racing in the series in the last 2 years when I have, these stats recorded, but still, I just don't. Only the 16 at Kansas scares me a little bit. Only the 87 at the large oval scares me a little bit. Like, we'll talk about Zane Smith, who's a similar driver to Christian Eckes, who I'm gonna like a lot more. But I think Eckes is okay. The other thing for Eckes is he just got eliminated from the playoffs. His season's over, and he hasn't been running well recently. Only an average finish of 14.8 in the last 5 races and only 5 laps led. So he has not been running so great. So I don't know how excited I am for Christian Eckes as a dominator here. He definitely has the upside and the potential to do so, and he does have some place differential upside starting 14th, but I do think there's some other spots I'd rather get to. Brett Moffitt, 10,300, starting 3rd. Now, Brett Moffitt only has the 10th best average finish at Kansas, but he does have the 6th best at intermediates and the 5th best at large ovals. But he does also have like the best average position at intermediates and large ovals as well. So, I mean, we know he's going to run in front. I mean, it's Brett Moffitt. We know what he does every week. Only 36 laps led at Kansas is a little bit concerning, but he does have 497 at intermediates and 292 at large ovals, the most for both those categories. So that doesn't scare me as much. When we go look at the last 5 races, Brett Moffitt has an average finish of 6.6, which I believe is the 3rd most in the field. Yeah, 3rd most in the field, and 213 laps led, which is the most in the field. So, I mean, he's been running pretty well. Still hasn't got a win yet this year, which is crazy, but, I mean, always running up front, obviously, with the average finish of 6.6, leading laps, as we see. Just hasn't been able to break through for that win. I do think he has upside. I mean, I want to get to Brett Moffitt. Starts 3rd. If we'll talk about the 2 guys on the front row, and I think Brett Moffitt probably gets around them pretty easily, pretty fast. Maybe not, first lap or 2, but within the first 10 laps, because those other guys just haven't really shown the speed as much as Brett Moffitt has at these tracks. So, definitely someone I want to get a good bit of in tournaments this week is Brett Moffitt. I think he's a good play. Zane Smith starts 9th at 10,100, and I just said how I like Zane Smith a lot more. Well, Zane Smith has the 5th best average finish at Kansas, and then he has the best at intermediates and large ovals. These intermediate large oval tracks, these big tracks, are what Zane Smith is very good at. He is very, very good at running at these tracks. Best average position at Kansas, 2nd at intermediates, and best at large ovals. When we go look at laps led, he has 67 laps led at Kansas, 125 laps led at intermediate tracks, and 125 laps led at large ovals. These are tracks he succeeds at. Seen him run well at both Kansas and Michigan this year. 2 tracks that are, well, I mean, Kansas is Kansas, but just similar tracks to this. So I do think Zane Smith is someone that I definitely want to get a lot of exposure to. In the last 5 races, he has an average finish of only 11.6 and only 89 laps led, but none of the tracks he's ran at has really been suited for him as well as this one is. So Zane Smith, definitely one of my favorite plays on the entire slate. He's the cover of the video, if you guys didn't know that. So I mean, he's just someone I definitely want to get a good bit of exposure to. Sheldon Creed starts 4th. This one's tough for me, because Sheldon Creed only has 15th best average finish at Kansas. He only has 12th best at intermediates and the 14th best at large ovals. Like, that's really not good. But when we come to laps led, he has 30 laps led at Kansas. He has 350 laps led at intermediates and 112 at large ovals. So he's leading laps, but just hasn't seemed to really get the finishes. But I think some of those are at the smaller intermediate tracks versus the large ovals. Sheldon Creed is probably going to be someone I'm not going to go to as much. Average finish of 9 in the last 5 races, 171 laps led, which is really good. But I just think there's other guys that are more likely to really lead laps. Like, I think I like Brett Moffitt and Zane Smith better. There's at least one other driver I do like better, or Austin Hill as well I like better, and there's another one too. But I think Creed's okay. I mean, I think he has a dominator upside. It just, he hasn't really run well these tracks. Like, it's surprising, but he just hasn't. So this is probably not the spot for me to get to him. Johnny Sauter, I'm going to keep avoiding Johnny Sauter. You guys know my thoughts on Johnny Sauter all year. He just hasn't had the year. I mean, look, he's going to have good numbers from the past few years here. Of course he is. But the last 5 races, Johnny Sauter has an average finish of 22nd. That's pretty much all I need to say. He has not had a good year. I don't want to play him starting 13th. Grant Enfinger starts 6th. Enfinger has the 2nd best average finish at Kansas, the 3rd best at intermediate tracks, and the 4th best at large ovals. When we go look at laps led, he has 47 at Kansas, 296 at intermediates, and 247 at large ovals. In the last 5 races, he has an average finish of 4.8, but only 18 laps led. But we all know Grant Enfinger out of nowhere will pull out these races where he just leads a bunch of laps and dominates and wins. That's what he does every year. So he's someone I definitely am interested in just because he's ran so well at these tracks. So definitely someone I want to get some exposure to is Grant Enfinger. That was the 4th dominator I was really talking about that I think I like. That's probably a little bit sneakier. That probably won't get as much ownership. Like, I'm sure Brett Moffitt's going to get ownership. Zane Smith and Austin Hill will probably get ownership. But Enfinger might be a little bit lower owned, and he has that dominator upside as well and should be able to finish pretty high. Todd Gillen starts 17th. I do think Todd Gillen's a little bit sneaky here this week because he starts a little bit farther back, but people are just going to be looking in this range for the dominators, which is fine. And that's good strategy. I'm not saying that's not. I mean, I just told you not really to play Parker Kligerman over these guys, but he's 2,000 cheaper. So 8th best average finish at Kansas, 8th best at intermediates, 9th best at large ovals. Go to laps led. He has 15 laps led at Kansas, 206 at intermediates, and 201 at large ovals. In the last 5 races, it has an average finish of 14.6 and 76 laps led. Gillen, another driver who's been eliminated already from the playoffs. I mean, I think he's someone who we could just slide him in that top 10, compete for a top 5 finish. So definitely someone I want to get some exposure to. Yeah, there's some guys around in that price range that I'd probably rather have more of, but I don't mind getting Todd Gillen whatsoever at $9,200. I think he's a good play of some upside. He could always lead some laps. Probably not going to happen more than likely, but like he could. So $9,200, I don't think it's too much to pay for him starting 17th, so I'll probably get some exposure to him. But, I mean, not a top play by any means, but definitely someone to get a little bit of exposure. Matt Crafton starts 5th at $9,000. Best average finish at Kansas, second best at intermediates, and second best at large ovals. If I recall, he won this race earlier this year. I'm pretty sure he won the earlier Kansas race. He runs really well here. 37 laps led at Kansas, 106 at intermediates, and 92 at large ovals. I mean, we all know the story for Matt Crafton series. He's just not leading a ton of laps, but this is a track where he does well and he has succeeded. So I think Matt Crafton's another driver who probably goes under the radar, who at the very least is probably just going to finish really, really well, get a top 5 finish. And I mean, that's not going to hurt you by any means. Like, that's not going to be a problem. And he also has the upside to lead laps. He's in a fast truck, going for another championship. So I think Matt Crafton's fine. I don't know if he's really my favorite play, but I'm definitely going to get some exposure to Crafton. Chandler Smith's probably going to be a fade for me on the poll at 8,800. He hasn't raced at Kansas, but he has the 13th best average finish at intermediates and the 22nd best at large ovals. Like, that's horrible. He's been bad this year, man. I mean, every race, it's like, oh, he's in that 51 truck. It's so good, but, man, he's just been bad. Only 4 laps led at intermediates and large ovals. It's just not looking good for him. I think I'm going to get away from him. Ben Rhodes starts second, $8,600. He has the 7th best average finish at Kansas, 9th best at intermediates, and 6th best at large ovals. I'm going to go look at laps led. Only 6 at Kansas, but 129 at intermediates and 107 at large ovals. In the last 5 races, he's an average finish of 10.2 and 70 laps led. The thing with Ben Rhodes is, like, I mean, he's okay. He starts second, though, and, like, you expect, like, one of those, front runners to get the lead early. I mean, I think Brett Moffitt passed him eventually, or even Creed maybe, but, like, Ben Rhodes, he should probably get the early jump because I don't think Chandler Smith's going to be able to hold him off. So I do think Ben Rhodes is viable, but I'm probably not going to get a ton of him, if any, to be honest. I'll probably get a little bit of him just because of his starting spot, and like I know that sometimes it's really hard to pass, and Ben Rhodes could just lead the race for like 50 laps, and then he's, as long as he doesn't wreck out, he's basically in the winning lineup. So I don't hate it, but I just don't know if this is, I mean, it's hard because the starting spot makes me want to play him, but him as a play, it doesn't, like if he was starting 6th, I wouldn't play him at all. This would be a fade for me this week, but starting second, I know he can get out front and lead some laps early, so I think he's going to be in like a few lineups for me. Tyler Ankrum, $8,400, starting 7th. I don't really ever play Tyler Ankrum. 18th best average finish at Kansas, 11th best at intermediates, and 12th best at large ovals. We can go look at laps led. He is 0 at Kansas, but he does have 52 at intermediates and large ovals. All of those came in Kentucky, one race. So we go look at the last 5 races for him. He has an average finish of 9 and 53 laps led. Look, I mean, he's all right, but he just starts 7th, and I just don't think he has really any upside to go anywhere. Derek Kraus starts 12th at $8,200. He has the 4th best average finish at Kansas, 15th at intermediates, and 7th best at large ovals. When we go look at laps led, we're pretty much done talking about dominators. The rest of these guys aren't going to lead any laps. Last 5 races for Derek Kraus, he has an average finish of 16.6. Like, I mean, he's okay. Like, the thing earlier in the year with Derek Kraus, like way earlier in the year, was like, oh, he's so cheap and he can finish in the top 5. He still can finish in the top 5. Like, no one's saying that. I mean, he finished 6th here earlier this year, but he's 8,200 now, and I don't know. I mean, I think he's okay. I think he's viable to get in some lineups, but like, usually in the optimal lineups, you're gonna have 1 or 2 drivers, probably at least 2 drivers starting in that top 12 range, and I think most of them, the time, it's gonna be lap leaders. I don't think Derek Kraus is gonna get it unless there's not any place differential this race. But there's gonna be place differential this race. You got Parker Kligerman, you got some other guys who we're about to talk about. So I think Kraus is okay if you want to get there, but it's probably just not one of my favorite plays. Tanner Gray starts 19th at $8,000. He's the 8th best average finish at Kansas, 10th best at intermediates, and 11th best at large ovals. When we go look at the last 5 races for Tanner Gray, he has an average finish of 12.2. Now, on the contrary to Derek Kraus, I am interested in Tanner Gray. He's $2,200 cheaper. He starts 7 spots farther back, and he's pretty outside of the Kansas stat. He's better everywhere. Better average finish at the intermediates, very similar to large ovals. Last 5 races, he's been running a lot better to average finish of 12.2. So I'm more interested in playing him because there is more place differential. Yeah, Tanner Gray also has top 5 potential, probably a little bit less likely than Kraus, but he's got top 8 potential, which is pretty good, and starting 19th for $200 cheaper. I think that's the spot I want to go to. Now, if I do think Tanner Gray's going to end up being highly owned, I'll go to Derek Kraus instead. Trevor Bayne's going to be a full fade for me. 7,900 starting 11th. He has like an average finish of 30th in this year since he's been racing. Like, I don't want that at all. That's going to be an easy fade. Now, Timothy Peters is a former truck driver who, I mean, I'm pretty sure he won championship. At least he was contending for championships back in the day. He's driving the number 52 truck Stuart Friesen usually drives. Stuart Friesen's going to sit out this race. So Timothy Peters is in this truck, and at his place differential. I mean, the truck, that 52 hasn't been running so great this year, but recently it's been running a lot better. And starting 22nd, I mean, we know Timothy Peters has a talent, so he could definitely finish inside the top 10. He has place differential upside, so definitely someone I want to get some exposure to is Timothy Peters. $7,600 Ryan Truax starts 21st. He has the 17th best average finish at intermediates and 17th best at large ovals. I don't even know if he's raced in the last 5 races. He's an average finish of 12th in the last 5 races. He's fine if you want to go there. I'd probably rather just pay 100 for Peters, to be honest. But I don't think Truax is going to get any ownership. Peters will probably be higher owned. So definitely someone to get a little bit of exposure to is Truax. But for the most part, probably just someone just to have around there. I mean, he's okay. He can get up inside that top 10, but more than likely he's probably nice. Driving for Nice. Decent equipment, but for the most part, probably not someone to go to. Raphael Saadi starts 10th at 7,400, and he's just too cheap, man. I mean, like, I know he starts 10th. 11th best average finish at Kansas, 13th at intermediates, and 13th at large ovals. When we go look at the last 5 races for him, he has an average finish of 15th, but like he's just 7,400, and we know he can hang around inside that top 10. I mean, he almost won a race in Michigan earlier this year. Like, he has that upside to hang around up there. So I think he's fine. I mean, I think he's okay to take shots on if you really want to. I probably won't, because I don't think that's the line of construction I'm going to be looking at. I mean, I'll probably throw him in there. He might get in the lineup. We'll see. When my crunches come down, we'll see if he gets in the lineup or not. Yeah, I mean, I think he's okay, but I mean, usually I'm probably going to set a rule for at least 2 drivers starting inside the top 12, and then I'm going to make another rule that says at least 2 of like my guys who I think can dominate. So Hill, Moffitt, Smith, maybe Creed, honestly maybe Eckes too, and Finger, Crafton. Like, I'm going to have a rule that says at least 2 of those guys. And then, and then there's going to be other rules as well. So Raphael Saadi could sneak in, but probably not. If he is, he's only going to be in a few lineups. So just kind of a tournament punt, or not really punt, just tournament option only play. Dawson Cram starts 33rd at 7,200. 22nd best average finish at Kansas, 28th at intermediates, and 23rd at large ovals. Last 5 races has an average finish of 30.33. I think he's going to be a guy that a lot of people go for place differential, but he's not going to get up anywhere. I don't want any Dawson Cram. I don't think he offers the upside. Now, Hailie Deegan, that's the big name driver that I said was making her first race this week. Never raced in a Truck Series car or truck. She's in the DGR Crossley truck, so that's the 17. We've seen David Reagan drive it recently. We've seen Dylan Lupton drive it recently, and they've all drove it well. But Hailie Deegan's like really, really young. It's her first truck race. She hasn't really had a ton of success in the ARCA series. Like, she's done well, but like not great. This is a hard one. Like, this is what I was talking about. Like, there's other place differential options, but like, do we really want to go there? Like, I don't know how comfortable I feel playing a driver in their first ever Truck Series race, and it's not like they've been superstars like Sam Mayer has in his series. Like, it's not the same. It's really not. So I'm gonna get some because she starts so far back, but like a first truck race, no practice, no qualifying, she's literally getting in a truck and driving. That doesn't sound like a great plan to me. And she's probably gonna be highly owned because one, she starts so far back, she's not expensive, and she's a big name. So like, she's probably gonna get a ton of ownership, but like, I just don't really see her like having some fantastic race. I mean, she can get up in the top 25. Like, that's probably what happens. I mean, I know she's in good equipment, but like, again, first time driver. Like, it doesn't seem like this is really the spot for her to just succeed amazingly at. So we'll see what happens. I'm probably going to get some ownership to her just because she is so cheap and she does have a lot of place differential and she's in a good truck, but I'm really not expecting a lot here, a lot from her. So we'll see what happens. Danny Bones, 6,900, starting 24th. He has a 26th best average finish at intermediates, and he hasn't raced at Kansas or a large oval. We go look at the last 5 races for Danny Bone. He has an average finish of 23.6. We've seen him be able to race him inside the top 20. I think he's fine because I think he's going to be a pivot off of Hailie Deegan. So I think he's viable. Definitely someone to get a little bit of exposure to. I don't hate it. Josh Rayomi, I really never play him, but this might be a slate I actually do. He starts 29th. He does have the 20th best average finish at Kansas, and that's over more than one race too. Like, he runs pretty decently here. 24th best average finish at intermediates and 24th best at large ovals. When we go look at the last 5 races, though, average finish at 31 is very scary. So I don't know. I don't ever play him. He's someone I just don't play, is Josh Rayumi, and it works out for the most part. Like, he never really does well, so I'll probably continue to just do that. Now, David Gravel, I think that's how you say his name, Gravel, I don't know. $6,500, starting 25th. This is another driver who's making his debut, first ever racing in Truck Series, but like Hailie Deegan's like 18, 19, something like that. She's really young. David Gravel's 28 years old. He's raced sprint cars and World of Outlaws for a long time, and now he's coming over here to make his debut. And I mean, I know it's the same thing, but it's really not. Like, he's 10 years older than him. I mean, it's just more experience, more maturity, and he's in better equipment than Hailie Deegan is as well. Starting 25th, he's driving the number 24 car for GMS Racing. Yeah, that's the car we've seen Chase Elliott drive, or truck we've seen Chase Elliott drive this year. We've seen Chase Purdy drive it a lot this year. There's one other driver that's been driving it a lot this year that's just totally blanking me right now. That's what David Gravel's driving today, and I don't hate it. I mean, he can get him inside the top 15, I'm pretty sure, pretty easily. I think he's got talent. I think he's got probably the mental ability to do this, so I think he's a good play. Starting 25th, he's too cheap in that equipment. So David Gravel, definitely someone I want to get some exposure to. Jordan Anderson starts way too high for me, $6,400 starting 15th. We can just go look at the last 5 races, average finish at 24th. Just, no, I'm not going to get there. That's pretty much all I got to say about him. Same thing for Austin Wayne Self, starts 18th. Last 5 races for Austin Wayne Self, average finish 23.6. I don't really want to go there either. I don't ever play Norm Benning. He's going to ride around the back all day. Tyler Hill starts 28th at 5,900. Now, Tyler Hill has a 12th best average finish at Kansas, 20th best finish at, where are we at? Intermediate tracks, and 19th best at large ovals. And when we go look at the last 5 races, he's an average finish at 19th. He's driving for his brother, or I guess really family team, the Hill team. And that truck's really not that slow. So I think Tyler Hill's definitely someone who has some upside to move up spots. So I'm going to have some exposure to him. He can get up inside the top 20, and that's going to more than well pay off that salary. And, like, these are the kind of guys you got to go to if you're trying to play Parker Kligerman and a Dominator, expensive Dominator. Like, if you want to play Parker Kligerman and Austin Hill together, you're going to have to play Tyler Hill. And you're probably going to have to play 2 guys down here. So I think Spencer Boyd's another one that's viable. 17th best average finish at Kansas, 23rd best at intermediates, and 25th best at large ovals. Like, it's not great. In the last 5 races, has an average finish of 25.4. It's not great, but, like, he starts 31st, and he probably could get 20th. Like, 20th is probably his ceiling, but he'll finish between 25 and 20th, and, like, that's going to pay off that salary, $5,700. I think it's fine. Josh Bilicki is driving for the Rayumi Brothers team. I don't want to play him. Starts 30th. He's just not in the equipment. Like, I mean, yeah, he has pretty decent numbers, but the equipment is not what it is. If there's something that changes, I'll, like, put it in the description. I'll let you guys know, but I'm, like, pretty sure that's the truck he's driving. So I don't really want to get their average finish 25.5 in the last 5. Tate Fogleman starts 23rd at $5,400. He is the 18th best average finish, the 19th best, or at Kansas, 19th best at intermediates, and 21st best at large ovals. In the last 5 races, he has an average finish of 17th. So Tate Fogleman, definitely someone who I think is very viable. Just a starting position is a pretty good starting position for what we're trying to get out of him. So definitely someone I like, and definitely someone I want to get some exposure to. We need some punt plays, and I think he's a viable punt play. Race to Sorelli starts 36th at $5,300. I don't ever play him, but he can really only go up. I mean, he starts 36, average finish of 26 in the last 5 races. It's not horrible. Again, you need some punt plays. I don't think this is the worst punt play in the world, just because he only can go up, and it's not like he's been running completely terribly. So I don't hate it. Colin Garrett starts 20th at $5,200. He's driving a 44 truck for Nice Motorsports. I think this is a very good play. I think this is the best punt play. I really do. I mean, I don't have any stats from the Truck Series because he's only been racing in the Xfinity Series, but at least he's been racing in NASCAR, like in the Xfinity Series. At $5,200, he starts 20. If he can hang around there, he's got a truck that can hang around there. At only $5,200, even if he loses a few spots, he's fine. He just needs to hang around there all day, and he has potential to get inside the top 15. We've seen him run well in the Xfinity Series before, so I don't hate it. He's not in bad equipment, and I don't mind going there. I think he's a very viable punt play. I like him, Cicerelli, Fogleman, a little bit of Boyd, and Hill as my punts. I think they're all viable punts. I think fortunately, I mean, yeah, they're going to feel gross clicking on them, but, like, they're all viable, so I don't hate playing them. And then Clay Greenfield, Jennifer Joe Comm, and Tim Vaines, you guys know we don't play them by now. So, I think that's really all I got to say in this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. This video actually kind of went a little bit longer than I expected, but that's cool. I'll be recording the Xfinity one soon and the Cup Series one as well, and then obviously NFL stuff, so be sure to check out all that coming up as well. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, rest of your weekend, and make some money watching Friday Night NASCAR.